Hey, welcome back to Matt again. My name is Rampage. This is gaming news. The first article is Lords of the Fallen 2 is already in the works. And that is essentially the only news. Like, there's been pretty much nothing. The game's executive producer, Thomas Gopp, stated, "We're now working on vision and concepts for Lords 2, he told EuroGamer. And that is essentially it. That's the only news that has come out of that. Okay, I'm all for it, I guess. I haven't actually played much of Lords of the Fallen. I think I played like 5 minutes of it just to see how well it ran. And that was about it. I just closed it and never launched it up again. So I should probably get to that game at some point. Probably a good idea. I don't know. I sort of preferred Lords of the Fallen over Dark Souls because Dark Souls for me just feels really janky, and the controls and stuff like that aren't responsive at all. Now I don't know how responsive Lords of the Fallen combat or controls are, but Dark Souls, I was never a fan of it, purely based on the animation times and the delays. I think that's why a lot of people like it, because it is a bit different than most other games. But yeah, at the same time, I don't know, man. I just couldn't get into it. It just felt too janky, too beta-ish for me. But yeah, that's about it for that news. The next article is biggest issue with Gears of War on Xbox One was maintaining 60 FPS. So GamingBolt talked with the lead designer at Coalition, who stated, "It was fine, but just like any other game project, there were ups and downs. Technically speaking, the biggest challenge was maintaining 60 frames per second, maintaining all the visual effects and lighting effects at 60 FPS. I mean, it looks beautiful when running at 60 FPS. That's a good statement. At least they're trying to get it to maintain at 60 frames per second. I assume it would be 1080p on Xbox One. It also depends on what sort of anti-aliasing they're using. If they're using like MSAA, FXAA, I don't know if they can use FXAA on AMD cards. I don't know. Let me know down below. But yeah, MSAA, FXAA. What else is there? There's like proprietary versions of AA as well. So if they're using a proprietary version, then they should turn it down a little bit, or tone it down just a little bit, because that will help maintain a 60 frames per second depending on what the dips are. If they're dipping to something like 45 frames per second to 50 frames per second, then just turning down anti-aliasing may fix that, but it may not at the same time. So if it's not, and they do turn down anti-aliasing at some point, then they'll have to tweak the visual effects, the lighting and stuff like that. Maybe not so much the visuals. If they do want to keep visuals, then typically on PC, you would turn down the lighting effects as well as the shadows. So most shadows don't really change from low to high these days, because they are pretty decent looking as of right now. So, you don't really need ultra quality shadows by any means. In games like The Witcher 3, I think I had my shadows for most of the game down to medium and high, because I didn't actually see any difference between high and ultra. I think ultra just made the shadows just a little bit darker. And okay, cool. If it helped my frame rate maintain a steady 60 frames per second, then I'm going to use it or turn it down. But yeah, obviously they will have to turn stuff down. They will have to optimize a little bit better. It also depends on how much of the actual game they are rendering prior to the player being in that specific area. So say if they're in this specific location, but they can't see what's happening, or what's in the foreground or whatever of the actual level. I don't really know how to explain this, but in one specific section, that's what you should be loading as a game developer, because sometimes if you're loading like an entire level that is like filled with static meshes and stuff like that, or collisions and stuff, it will tank frame rate. But yeah, it's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a steady loading curve. I think Gears of War had a few of those sections where it was like, you get to one specific section and then it would either like freeze for a second and then come back. That is basically just loading the next section, or like loading all the details and stuff like that. So it's It also depends on where those sections are, because obviously in every single game level there will be something like that. So if you get to one specific section in the level, then it will load the next section and cause that stuttering. So there has to be some sort of progressive load there, and that's why you see in Gears of War 1 at least that there was so many sections that were inside buildings, because they were loading the next section behind, you know, just the being inside the house, because when you get outside the house, that's when the stuff should be loaded, but it loaded before the player actually got out there. So that kind of stuff can really help performance, especially on consoles. So obviously there is a limited amount of performance that they can get out of the consoles, but yeah, at the same time they probably want to max out that 6 gigs of RAM. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, let me know what you think about that in the comments below, and if you're actually looking forward to Gears of War Ultimate Edition. I am, kind of, because it's on PC. So I'm just looking forward to whether or not the rest of the franchise, like Gears of War 1, 2, 3, and Judgment, will actually be on PC, because there's been no news about it. There was news that stated that I think it was Gears of War Ultimate Edition would come with like, hold on, let me see if I can find it. I don't know. There was news recently, if I can find it, I'll leave it in the description, but it stated something like, oh, if you buy Gears of War the Ultimate Edition for Xbox One, it would come with like codes for Gears of War 1, 2, 3, and Judgment, I think. But yeah, that's... It would be interesting if that actually occurred on PC, because PC, if you don't know, never got Gears of War 2, 3, or Judgment, so that would be interesting as well. Anyway, the next article is PS4 getting new Tactical Assault Commander keyboard and mouse controller combo from Hori. Now, this is actually kind of interesting, because wouldn't the game developers have to support this kind of stuff? Because most games on PS3, if you plugged in a keyboard, would allow you to control the menu, but wouldn't allow you to control the actual character. So hopefully this is just like, you know, adding in a controller, like a wired controller, and it just works. If it just works, then I could see this being a really good feature and a really good peripheral. But if it's not, and it has to be supported via, you know, the publishers and whatnot, but this is apparently licensed by Sony, so I would assume it would just automatically work. It would be nice to test it at least, but it will be around $120 for Japan. Apparently, okay, so it's only available in Japan and UK right now, I think. I've only found it for the UK store on Amazon, so let me just check the US store real quick. Okay, no, it's not supported, it's not available, sorry, on the US Amazon store. So if you do want it, you could just buy it from the UK store. And apparently it does, wait, what? This item can be delivered to Australia, so that's interesting. From the UK store. It's not available yet. It will be released on October 9th, 2015, so, you know, you got a bit of time there. The release date is listed as November 30th for Japan. Yeah, okay. Interesting. Let me know what you think about that, whether you would actually look forward to getting something like that if you have a PS4. But there was also a PS3 version that I didn't see any news for it, so I don't know how popular that was. But yeah, just by looking at it, it just looks a bit weird, because it has like triangle, circle, and X as well. But like, I don't know. The X is like, so, alright, here's the, I don't know, it's weird to sort of, I don't know, whatever. I'll have an image of it on the screen somewhere. But you can see the arrow keys, and then it's got triangle on the left side of the up arrow, and circle on the right side of the up arrow. And I don't know, circle's supposed to be like crouch or something, and or roll or whatever, and then triangle is normally switch weapon. It would be cooler if I could switch the triangle button and bind it to the scroll wheel on the mouse. That would be kind of cool, because that's how I use PC games. Like if I'm switching weapon, I use my scroll wheel. I don't use any of the fucking buttons on the keyboard to switch my weapons. But X is normally jump, right? But the X is like on this side, so it's like you gotta. I don't know. That'd be really, really weird. And then L3 is shift on PC, which is run. But yeah, I don't know. It looks a bit weird. I would hope that they sort of have a revised version and move the X button underneath the down arrow, because I don't know. It's just weirdly like too far over, I think. Anyway. Anyway, the last article is Fallout 4 won't have mod support until 2016. So, Pete Hines, the VP of Marketing for Bethesda, announced the news during a brief talk with IGN recently. Hines said, "Our entire focus is on finishing the game. Nobody cares about mods if the game sucks. Yes, this has always been our philosophy. We shift energy to construction tools, the creation kit, and all of that stuff once the game is done. And we start to figure out what all of that is going to look like." Okay, then, that's kind of cool, I suppose. But for a game like Fallout 4, I would probably expect to have mods on day one, or not day one, but maybe like within the first month. But apparently then they're going to wait until 2016, hopefully sometime in January, because that would be a lot faster than The Witcher 3 getting official mod support, because we still don't have official mod support for The Witcher 3, and it's pissing me off, because there are a lot of things that I do want to fix in that game, or, alter within that game, but I don't know whether I'll be able to do it because they haven't released anything. I don't know, let me know what you think about that, whether you're actually worried about it, whether you would like mod support, whether you don't want mod support, because remember, it is coming to Xbox One as well, I think. I don't know whether it's coming to PS4, I think it is, if I recall correctly, but I know that it's coming to Xbox One. But yeah, let me know in the comments below. My name is Rampage, please don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.